It's September 2021 in New Hampshire, and a pregnant Danielle Dauphinais wakes up and realizes that her 5-year-old son, Elijah Lewis, is not in the house. Elijah is a wanderer, and the sliding door doesn't lock properly, so he probably left through there.
Elijah likes to sneak out of the house. So we have a slider door. And I don't know if you guys have been there.
I have, yeah.
So you've been to my house. So
Yes.
have you felt the slider door, the wiggly handle?
I didn't touch the handle.
Okay,
no.
so the slider door doesn't lock, doesn't latch. He likes to sneak out while we sleep. He wanders while we sleep. He's a wandering little boy. So he's done that so many times. We would wake up and we would find him. He'll come back in. He'll wake up, come back in, whatever.
But Danielle comforts herself with the thought that Elijah had wandered off many times before, and he always came back. But nevertheless, she went outside, she called his name a few times, and when she couldn't find him, she went back inside the house. She then goes to wake up her boyfriend, Joseph Stapf, and she tells him, Elijah is missing. What the F? Again? Joseph asks. They needed something to take the edge off because Danielle was now starting to panic. So the couple go and they use the illegal substances that they had been hooked on for quite some time. You see, Danielle and Joseph are addicts. They managed to clean up their act for a little while, but then sadly relapsed when Danielle fell pregnant again. And now, they just waited for Elijah to return home. Well, at least that's Danielle's version of events. Now, I believe most of us know someone who has struggled with addiction. And if you don't know what that can look like up close, then all you have to do is go and have a look at the channel called Soft White Underbelly, and you will quickly understand the raw and devastating power of illegal substances and how it is ruining many lives. And over the past couple of years, there's been one substance in particular that's been hitting the US hard. There are many slang names for the substance, but some of them include Chinatown, China Girl, He-Man, Poison, Murder 8, and TNT. You will see the actual name of the substance below on the screen, since I can't say it without YouTube punishing my video for it. But just to make things easier, I will be referring to it as TNT throughout the rest of this video. So TNT is taking the US by storm, and the statistics are alarming. Just to give you an idea, according to the CDC, in 2022, over 73,000 people died from overdoses involving synthetic opioids like TNT. And the numbers are rising. In 2023, there were over 105,000 illegal substance overdose deaths, and TNT remained the major cause of those deaths. Now, personally, I have a lot of sympathy for people who are trapped in the cycle of addiction. But where do you draw the line? Where does that sympathy start to waver? For me, it's when children are involved, because being a parent is such a huge responsibility. You are responsible for ensuring your child's safety. And if you cannot do that, then I at the very least expect for you to take the steps to protect your child from yourself. And unfortunately, that didn't happen in the case that we are about to discuss. 5-year-old Elijah Lewis suffered terribly because of his mother's choices and actions.
Why you guys dropping me down? My resistance. She's going up. The head down as soon as you take them out. Come on.
What's your name? What's your name? Danielle. Danielle what? Babe, I love you. I don't know what the f***'s going on. What's going on? Okay. Who's coming?
What?
Who's coming to pick us up? Who's coming to pick us up?
Whatever he said, I had no idea either. Sorry.
You just watched how police arrested Danielle Dauphinais and her boyfriend Joseph Stapf in New York on the 17th of October of 2021. But why? Well, you see, Danielle gave birth to a baby, but she had to turn that baby over to the hospital under the safe haven law. Some reports claim that the baby was born addicted to substances, and that is why she had to turn the baby over, but I could not verify that, so I'm not entirely sure. But this is also when it was discovered that Danielle's 5-year-old son, Elijah Lewis, was missing. Danielle gave conflicting stories to social services about where Elijah was, and when they could not locate him, they reported it to the police. 10 days later, they tracked Danielle and Joseph down and arrested them, as you just saw. That same day, police questioned Danielle.
So tell me about Elijah and what you understand of why we're here to talk about Elijah.
Because he's missing.
Okay.
So even though Danielle acted like she had no idea what was going on when they arrested her, she suddenly knew exactly why she was there when they started to question her. And she tells the police that she and Joseph are addicts. And before you think, wow, that's a really honest thing for her to do, you have to remember that Danielle probably made an educated guess that the social services probably told the police already that they were addicts. So I believe this was a tactic of hers to make it look like she was being honest and forthcoming.
Well, Joe and I started using drugs again. We were in active addiction.
Okay. When did that happen? Honestly, I don't remember. So are we talking
when I was pregnant?
Months ago?
Yeah.
Years ago?
Months ago when I was pregnant with my son.
Just to provide some clarity, when she talks about relapsing when she fell pregnant again, she is talking about her most recent pregnancy. She actually gave birth 10 days before she was questioned at this point in time, and she had to turn that baby over to the hospital, as I mentioned before. And even though I can get hung up on the fact that she was using those substances while pregnant, I'm going to keep moving with this case because I want you to listen to why Danielle said she started using again. She actually blamed it on her 5-year-old missing son, Elijah.
Because Elijah is just so much to handle. He would touch our daughter in her private spots.
Okay.
She would hide knives under his bed. Tacks under his bed. He would steal things from our kitchen, and he would just do a bunch of stuff that not a normal little boy would do. So we started we just fell off the train and just started using drugs. So
let's get this straight. She is blaming her and Joseph's addiction on a 5-year-old. Not just a 5-year-old, her 5-year-old, who at this point in time is missing. But she didn't stop there. No, she went on to talk about how difficult Elijah made her life, how troubled he was, and the awful things he did. And listen, there were some reports claiming that Elijah had some behavioral issues. But whether that is true or not is beside the point. Because, with an addict mom like Danielle, what do you expect? But a loving mom whose child is missing would never ever focus on everything that child had done wrong. Her main focus would be on finding him. But I want you to hear her explanation of what happened straight from her mouth.
I don't know the date. I honestly don't know the date. But September, he decided to wander off again. And us being in active addiction and not wanting to lose our kids, we tried to find him. We looked for him and we're like, okay, well, he's going to come back. He always came back. So we waited. He didn't come back, and we're freaking out. We're like, where's Elijah? He never came back.
I'm sorry, who just sits around and waits for a 5-year-old to stop wandering around and hopefully find his way back home? That is bizarre. But you're probably wondering, why didn't she report him missing? Well, this was her excuse.
If I wasn't using, I would have reported him missing, right away. But it sounds so I'm so sorry.
Yeah, whatever. If you were truly worried about your son, you would not even be worried about what your addiction would mean in this case. Your only concern would be to find him. And if that doesn't have you convinced that she is lying, just have a listen to what she decided to do right after she realized her son was missing.
I mean,
I
like,
know.
it's like, obviously I came back in and I took the stuff and I went and got high because I was freaking out, so it's all a blur.
So you said you walked outside and then came back inside and got high?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I can't find him. I can't find him. I can't find him.
So did you get high before or after you woke Joe up?
I got after.
Okay, so you woke Joe up and you said Elijah's gone, and what did he do?
He was like, what the again? I'm like, yep. I'm like, but this time I can't find him. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. I was like, I need to do something. I need to do something. I need to calm down. I need to do something.
You heard that right. She decided to go and get high with her boyfriend. But the police were definitely not buying most of what Danielle was saying. And what she said next about Elijah had them even more concerned.
But yeah, he would scratch.
Okay.
He would sit there and bite his arms. He would, what else did he do? He would, like, slap him in his, like, do weird stuff. Like, I just didn't like, I couldn't, I needed him out of my house. I needed him out to get help. Not that I didn't love him and want him. I loved him. I love him so much. I just needed him to get help. And I was just watching him suffer and I couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? I couldn't do nothing. I was depressed.
Okay.
I never left a house.
Okay.
We never left a house. Never left the house with.
Yeah, that's
I
a
felt
lot.
like a prisoner in my house.
Sure.
Almost a year I haven't left my house. The only time I left my house is now. Haven't left my house since.
Wow. Do you drive?
No.
Okay. And you don't have a car, you don't drive. Okay. Yeah. That's
It's
sounds
a lot.
overwhelming.
It was a lot. And I was scared because I was using drugs because I didn't know how to cope.
okay.
Firstly, police were suspicious that she was so adamant on talking about how Elijah would hurt himself. They suspected that she was doing this to explain away what they might find on the child once they located him. And secondly, she admitted that she was depressed and she was frustrated with Elijah. But Danielle also had more to blame on little Elijah. Yes, she actually blamed him for her relationship with Joseph going downhill.
Our relationship was definitely going downhill because of this.
Okay. So you're home all day with the kids. Elijah's behaviors are escalating. You're stressed out and pregnant. And then your marriage or relationship, you're not married, right?
No.
Your relationship is stressed out because of this. Sounds like your living situation is stressed out because of this, where to the extent that Joe's mom was saying she wanted you guys gone.
So it's Elijah's fault that her and Joseph started using again. It's Elijah's fault that she is frustrated, depressed, and that she can't leave the house. Oh, and it's also Elijah's fault that her relationship is not working out. Nothing is her fault. Police, however, were concerned about one thing, and that was finding Elijah.
How can we find Elijah?
Look everywhere. If I knew, I would have found him. Did you guys search the lake? I don't know. I didn't search the lake. I don't know if he could be in there, or if someone took him, or if he went on the main road, or if I don't know. I want to find him. That's all we wanted. That's all we wanted was to find him, so everything would be okay. That's all we wanted. We wanted to find him. We just didn't know where to look. I mean, we don't know how to look in the lake. I just don't.
Is that where you think he is, the lake?
No, I mean that's a huge possibility. You know what I mean? We have a lake in our backyard and a little boy. I don't know. I don't know. It could be a possibility, but I don't know.
And Danielle swore up and down that she had nothing to do with his disappearance and she had no idea where he was.
No.
So Danielle, you don't have to get upset, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just hear me out, okay? This kid had a lot of problems,
Yeah.
and he brought a lot of problems into your home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody has limits.
I'm telling you the God honest truth. I did not do anything to hurt that little boy. I will swear on everything. No, I swear on everything.
Okay.
If I knew where he is, I would honestly tell you right now.
Is that because Joe disposed of him?
No.
Did Joe bring him somewhere?
No. Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, that's what I think. You know.
Well,
And
I
don't-
would
and I don't-
know that though,
Yeah.
because I was with him and he did not do anything.
Yep.
We have never ever hurt that little boy. We love that little boy no matter what.
But I don't want you to have the weight of the world on your shoulders
We
for
didn't
the
do
rest
anything.
of
We
your
didn't
life.
do anything. He did not. There's no body.
There's that line again. That little boy. I always listen out for that, because as soon as I hear a parent refer to their child as that little boy or that little girl or that child, I know something's up. Because it's not really normal for a parent to refer to their child like that. I mean, especially not in a situation like this. They do it to psychologically distance themselves. And I also found it very strange that she said, well, there's no body. But luckily, the detectives picked up on everything and they didn't believe a word that was coming out of her mouth. At the same time that Danielle was being questioned, another set of detectives were questioning her boyfriend, Joseph Stapf. But he wasn't being very helpful either.
You know, Elijah, just like he ran out of the house. Well, I don't know if he ran or walked or crawled or whatever it was. But he's missing. I have no control over a young boy walking away. Or whatever the heck.
Okay, well, let's just call it what it is. We already told you that that's not what happened. You and I both know that's not what happened.
No, it is what happened.
Joe.
100%.
So police continued their search for little Elijah. And only a week later, in October of 2021, they found him. 5-year-old Elijah Lewis's remains were found buried in a state park in Abington, Massachusetts, which is only an hour and a half away from where he lived with his mom. His little body was sent in for autopsy and the results were devastating. Elijah's death was ruled a homicide and it was determined that he died from violence and neglect. He suffered facial and scalp injuries, malnourishment, and pressure ulcers. The toxicology report also revealed that he had traces of TNT in his system. Elijah had been severely beaten, starved, and neglected. He weighed only 19 pounds at the time of his death. Danielle Dauphinais was charged with first-degree and second-degree murder, and both her and Joseph first pleaded not guilty. But then, Joseph pleaded guilty to a manslaughter charge. Danielle eventually pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. Danielle's defense shared how she was abused as a child, but those mitigating circumstances were overshadowed by text messages between her and Joseph that the prosecution shared with the court. Like this one from Danielle to Joseph reads, "He said he wants food and he wants me to stop starving him because it's not nice." Or this one, "I'm gonna kill him, and I mean it." Or what about this one? "I'm gonna kill this kid, Joe, effing screaming on the top of his lungs for effing water." In one message, she even referred to little Elijah as a maggot. The prosecution just made it so clear that Danielle had beaten and starved Elijah to death. And then she was sentenced to 53 years behind bars. This is what the judge had to say.
I'd like to start off with Elijah. For the last 3 years, over 3 years now, I've come to know him. And especially in the beginnings of this sentencing, in terms of the notice of intent to plea and all of the filings, I've been educated as to who this little boy was. You've seen it. It was brought up on the screen. This is how people should remember Elijah. I've seen other photos of this. Some of the law enforcement in this room have seen Elijah in completely different circumstances. And I appreciate the trauma that's inflicted when you see that. The attorneys have seen it, for instance. And I certainly have seen it. But that picture of him staring out at us is a picture of innocence. It's a photograph of a defenseless, vulnerable, dependent little guy who is smiling, and you can see the life in him. You can see the love in that little boy's face. It's a photograph of love. It's a photograph of a 5-year-old in the back of a stroller who deserves nothing but love. The one thing he didn't deserve is hate. And hate rained down upon him, unfortunately. As said in the impact statements and described by the various family members, he was a little boy full of love, full of life, charm, a rambunctious little guy with a spirit and the biggest of smiles. He's got one on his face in Exhibit 1. My hope, our hope, I hope it's all our prayer now, is that, Elijah, you're in heavenly places. Now where all your tears are wiped away. Your wounds from your life on this earth are healed. There is no more suffering for Elijah. Just peace and love. He deserves it. My hope and prayer is that he now has it. Because he didn't, especially during the last year of his life.
I could not have said that any better. And I believe that Elijah is in heaven now and he is free from all the suffering. But what a horrible tragedy that he had to endure all of that with his mom. But she now has 53 years behind bars to think about what she has done. Joseph Stapf was sentenced to 22 to 45 years in prison. If you were wondering about Elijah's dad and where he was in the whole thing, he is a man named Tim who lives in Arizona. Elijah actually mostly lived with Tim, but in May of 2020, it was decided that he had to go and live with his mom, Danielle. I don't have much details on why that had to happen, but some reports claim that he couldn't cope or something, but I'm not entirely sure. But it is really sad to think that Danielle only had Elijah for a little over a year, and in that time, she murdered him. It's cases like this that actually keep me up at night and make me want to go wild, because the first thing that I think, and I can't help it, is just death penalty. This is the type of thing, in my opinion, that deserves the death penalty. And I don't care how difficult the child is, what the child did. There is no reason on this earth for any parent to treat their child in the way that this child was treated. He was starved, he was beaten, he was tortured. But I would like to express my condolences to the loved ones of Elijah who genuinely cared for him. I cannot imagine what they must be going through. It is just absolutely horrific, and my heart goes out to them. But that's going to be about it for this video, guys. Please let me know what you think about this case. Leave your thoughts and your opinions down in the comment section. I always love interacting with you, and I appreciate all of your support. Please make sure that you stay safe, and I will see you in the next one.